Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Tales from the Bottom of the Mal Seasonal Anime Charts. I'm joined today by Digibro.
He notes, I tokes.
I do have my notes here. I took notes while we watched.
And I have my glass.
So since our last episode, our recent episode of Tales from the Bottom of the Mal Seasonal Anime Charts, big news, everyone! There is a new challenger to the throne. A new show has taken the top spot at the bottom of the worst ranked show on Mal.
Yes, to clarify, you have your Mal organized by score. So
Correct.
It's not the fewest viewers show. It is the poorest rated. So it is the worst show. Even though the one you talked about last time, I felt like just the fact that it had any premise at all must have set it above a number of shows from this season. And that one rose above this one.
It has beaten out this one and maybe another one too. I can't remember. They kind of jostle around at the bottom. But currently, and you know what? I want to give props to my girl, my drug boys over on that show. Even despite the fact about me making a video about how shit that show was, in effect, like, it remains above this show. You know what? You'd think that would lower it below this one, but this one has beaten it out.
It's possible that you sold people
I
on
may
it
have
and
actually,
they liked it more.
because I kind of went into things that were good about it and were enjoyable about it. So maybe it had the opposite effect, even though it's Tales from the Bottom.
Mean, again, there are shows that are on that definitely deserve worse. And the question is, does this show deserve worse than that show?
That's a good question.
And does it deserve worse than the other things this season? Like, this show that we're going to talk about is Tenka Hyakken Meiji-kan Youkoso. I know the second part of that means, like, welcome to the Meiji
era?
Meiji-kan. Well,
whatever that Meiji-kan means.
I mean, they're maids, so I think maybe it has to do with maids.
There's a pun going on with Meiji and maid.
Yes.
There's a pun.
There's some kind of pun. I don't even know if this game has to do with the Meiji era of Japan. Do you know?
Well, okay. Let me just say,
the girls are swords.
They are all the girls are based on swords, yes. But let's clarify. This is an anime, just like our last show, happens to also be based on a game. Now that was an otome.
A gacha game.
This is a gacha game where the girls are hot samurai sword girls.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like that. When you think about it holistically, that is the premise of the franchise. Because this is a franchise entry. We're talking about a show with 3-minute episodes that easily sinks to the bottom because, A, the 3-minute shows always sink to the bottom. And a lot of them are weird, low-effort trash that's just tie-ins to other shit that just exists to, like, signal boost their existence, you know? They're very strange sometimes. This is really no different. But there are interesting things about this one. And about the fact that it comes from a gacha game that there's been a lot of gacha games that have had successful anime adaptations recently. I know for a fact that Last Period was a gacha game. I liked the anime. It tried to put in as many characters as possible from the game. And the character art was really nice. I mean, fucking the Shingeki no Bahamut anime are based on gacha games. Those are like high effort, tons of animation, Mappa adaptations. They look great, stupid as fuck, terrible writing, but like they look amazing. This show is just 3-minute shorts. Nowhere near the tier of those things. Like nowhere near as much money has been spent on this. There's not even a lot of high detail artwork in this. It's mostly chibis.
But in fact, the art styles rotate quickly in fast succession, cutting between art styles
all the
between
time.
cuts. It's manic. It's absolutely mind fucking.
Right. And if this feels like a weird way to explore this show, it's because it was very difficult to explore it in any kind of direct fashion.
Yeah.
Because the very first things that happen make no fucking sense if you don't know about the game. And even then, so much of it is anime original that it's a huge leap from what the game actually seems to be.
We felt very confused even while doing the research as to exactly what the premise was, where we were in the narrative, what the characters were up to, who we were in fact dealing with at any given time. I thought they were like, I don't know, like right now, I think the main characters of the show are like effectively anime original chibi versions of the main characters of the game. I'm pretty sure.
It's very bizarre because the show, it starts off by introducing the characters from the game and then saying that they have become maids in this other world or something. Like in the anime, they have become maids. However, there are also these other 3 characters, these 3 lolly sisters who are all Masamune swords, who have 3 different hair colors. They're very well coordinated designs, you know. They are also there. They're just also maids. They're also here.
I think they're maids.
But they don't seem to be characters from the game.
They are not.
They
are original.
Not characters from the game. So,
though they do appear in the game in like missions and shit, because it's gacha. You can just stick them in.
Right.
Which is confusing as well.
So this is where things get really strange, because if you look up footage of this game, you can't find these characters, but it does seem to be a story-driven game. But if it's a gacha game, assumably there are a bunch of characters you could get, right? But there only seems to be like 3 or 4 characters who are really promoted in the story.
Yeah.
And you were telling me about how the Kingdom Hearts game that was a gacha game.
Kingdom Hearts Unchained Key.
Like, it has a lot of characters, but it doesn't continually just introduce new characters. You, like, level up the characters you have.
With gacha games like this, I got my experience playing the Kingdom Hearts one. What you do is you acquire, like, a medal or, like, the base form of a character. And, like, in the Kingdom Hearts one, there's, like, dozens, if not, there's probably hundreds of them, of different characters, including different versions of the same character. Like, you could have adult Sora, or, like, Kingdom Hearts 2 Sora, Kingdom Hearts 1 Sora. They're, like, different characters. And what you do is you acquire more medals, like, of that particular character, and you, like, meld them with your old ones, and it, like, powers it up. And that's how you get, like, your top level ones that you use to, like in that game, you are a character who uses these medals of these other characters to do glorious Heartless Keyblade battles. But, like, those other characters aren't present. They're just, like, representative of the power you are using. And I don't know if that's the same in this world or not.
How many characters are actually involved in the story of the game?
I mean, there's you, the player character, and then there's, like, I mean, there's a decent amount, but, like, it's not like Sora's there. It takes place in the distant past before Kingdom Hearts 1. So, like, there's a whole cast of like, Keyblade wielders who you, like, deal with, but they're all, like, original. They're all new people just for that game. Does that help? Does that clarify anything at all?
Nothing makes any sense. Like, the game that this is based off of seems to be... like, it seems
a narrative-driven, like, sword girl.
A narrative-driven action RPG with a small cast.
Yeah.
But you can get more characters, I guess. But
they're probably like soldiers or something. We watched some gameplay. It's hard to tell exactly what is going on in it. Yeah. You can clearly recruit these new people, like, to your team. But how does that manifest diegetically in the narrative? Yeah. Are they actually fighting on the battlefield, or are they... I mean, this game's only in Japanese, so I don't know if there's any Westerners. We try to do research. Yeah. This is the most research anyone has done into this series.
We really fucking tried to dig deep into understanding this by reading various articles and watching various gameplay footages, and trying to look at wikis and stuff. But as far as we could tell, this is, you know, a narrative-driven action RPG that happens to have a gacha game element to it. The main characters of the narrative of that RPG now have an anime where they are maids, and there are also 3 anime original characters who now need to be put into the game because they have immediately exceeded the importance of every single gacha character in the game.
That's true, like, including the main characters.
When you consider the anime last period, in that show, there are, like, several teams of characters who are, you know, characters from the game that they have elevated to main character status by putting them in this anime together,
right?
You know? And they show as many characters as possible from the gacha game to, like, communicate the idea that all of them are important on some level. They have some part to play, and you can see their rankings, and, like, even if they summon a level 5, it's treated as like, oh yeah, it's a powerful guy, you know, like, this card is important in the game, you know, even if it's not important really to the anime. But, like, in this show, none of those other gachas seem to appear, if there are indeed a lot of characters.
There's a handful in the background, like, that do things.
6 or so characters that seem to be from the game, but they're so weird and disconnected from each other, because you've got, like, the main characters, and then there's a couple of characters who show up to, like, sort of commentate on the story. So, like, and this is the way you're introduced to the show, is 2 characters describing the plot. and it's immediately apparent that these two characters are from the game.
Mm-hmm.
But what becomes confusing is that you start to realize they seem to have no connection to anything you learn about that they tell you about the story.
Mm-hmm.
They are not a part of this story at all. They have nothing to do with the three main characters who have become maids, and they have nothing to do with the new maids.
Well, they show up in episode 3, right? To fuck around.
I think it was getting confusing because they would combine them in different ways. You know, like, it wouldn't be the same two characters were hanging out in the intro cards every time as the ones who were in the episode. True. So you might see a character from the intro card in the episode, but not necessarily the guy they were with, you know? So you're still not sure who's connected how. I'm
not sure of anything about this show. It's deeply confusing.
It's very strange, but you're just bombarded with all these characters at once, so you immediately think, gacha game, but then there's not any more. There's not a ton of other new characters. Instead, what happens is we shift focus to these 3 anime original characters, and we spend most of the episode following them all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
And what they are enacting is something akin to like a K-On!-esque 4 girls sit around and do something goofy and cute thing. But the scenario of the first episode is that they keep sneezing, and every time they sneeze, everything in this building, like, shatters.
Like, glass is shattering when this happens.
And they just keep sneezing, and glass keeps shattering.
And, like, one of the characters, like, is using sneezing powder to make them sneeze or something?
She shows up, and she like, uses the pollen to make them sneeze, and then explains that they probably just are being affected by pollen.
Okay.
She's just, like, displaying that this would be the case by using a jar of pollen.
Yeah.
And, like, showing that it would make them sneeze in the same way that they have already been sneezing.
I still don't understand the connection between the sneezing and the shattering of the entire fucking building, though. I don't...
No.
Is there a pun I'm not understanding here that explains all of this?
I have no fucking idea.
I already feel out of my depth because I feel like there's going to be puns about, like, swords and girls. Like, I don't know any Japanese historical swords.
No.
Masamune, Murasame, those are guys.
The most I know is I played Muramasa the Demon Blade. That is all I know.
Yeah, okay,
You
Muramasa.
unlock a lot of swords in that game. I didn't memorize their names. They're all like
Wado,
4-syllable,
Ichimonji.
double names,
Yeah.
4 syllables per name. I cannot memorize all these fucking swords. That is why I consider this to be a level 5 autism project. If you've seen my autism rating scale, I'm promoting that video on your channel because I think a lot of people on your channel would be very
They would be way into it, I have no doubt.
4chan hasn't picked up on this meme yet, and it's making me sad. I want to be famous on 4chan.
We're going to get school shot up now. Okay, let me just... Episode 2. Episode 2 was where...
I'm already famous on 4chan.
You are to a degree. There was the girl, our main character, our little pink girl, who appears to be like the chibi-fied doppelganger of the red-haired, like, main icon representative girl of this series, fucking Tenka Hyakken. She is, like, obsessed with the girl. She wants to be just like her. They do comic antics where they dress her up like it. I mean, okay, fair enough. And then they hit you with, like, the big emotional... The girl's like, hey, man, you just gotta be you, bro. You can't be trying to be me. You just gotta be you. And one day, if you're you, then you'll be me. And it's like, it's some emotional feel-good ending. Whatever, it's fine.
I'm strongly trying to remember the second episode. There is a lot to take in with this show.
And it's so fast, too.
I mean...
Comes at you in waves.
Because, okay... The thing is, the first episode, we watched it, it left very little, I think, we had no understanding. It was just like a garbled mess of shit, and we were like, what the fuck was that about? I think it was about girls sneezing and breaking everything in a store, ultimately, but what the fuck was everything before that? Then we got to episode 2, and it shocked us because it cuts the OP.
Yeah, and they did that episode 3 too.
So
I was making a joke as we're watching episode 2. With the first episode, there's a whole OP that plays. It's like 30, maybe 40, 50 seconds long. And then with episode 2, I'm saying, oh, Jesus, they're going to waste like a third of this fucking 3-minute long episode of a show for every episode on the opening. And instantly after I say that, they do a gag in the episode that's like, this is taking too long. Let's get to the episode already.
Yeah.
Pretty self-aware shit.
They continually
I was impressed.
did it. So, okay, this is where it really starts to... I have to start to think, okay... You've deliberately made the episode longer than you need to.
Mm-hmm.
So, even though the first episode had weirdly felt padded to fill time, it made me kind of rethink that maybe they're actually trying to cram as much in as they can because somebody is having fun making this. Because the guy who's the director is also the character designer. I could not find any other credits of his work at all. But he works for Leiden Films because they're the ones making this. Leiden Films right now is making like Blade of the Immortal. They're making serious anime. They're making a ton of shit this season. So I don't know. Maybe they're growing or something. I don't know if this guy just like works a desk.
Maybe it's a training project for this guy.
They
I don't
let
know.
him do this, but like the thing is that this anime is tied in to a manga that is run in Dengeki G's magazine. It seems, which is a magazine that's pretty big. I remember. Okay, Dengeki G's is connected to the magazine that I got my fucking Sengoku Rants Dakimakura from. Which I bought a volume that had like Clannad in it at the time. Like Clannad was on the cover of this book, and it had a bunch of like stuff with out and out sex in it. Like it got racy.
I'm familiar with sex.
Like, even though it was very cute girls like shit, there is like pornographic content in this book. And for $15, you could buy this phone book size, Shonen Jump like size manga magazine with a full-size Dakimakura of Uesugi Kenshin from Sengoku Rants.
That's a hell of a deal.
Yeah, and it was only $15 shipping and handling. My friend was buying one and was just like, do you want to buy one too? And I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. Because he took care of it all for me. I had to order something online. So that's why I have it, even though I don't know anything about the character and have not played Sengoku Rants.
I'm in the middle of a replay right now. I'll let you know when I get Kenshin.
So the manga runs in Dengeki G's, and they also produced the game, it seems?
That's what it's fucking said on the internet, and I guess I believe it.
I didn't know this magazine was producing games. And, like, the weird hybrid genre nature of the game makes it very confusing, like, exactly what the point is, or, like, what is the appeal of this game. It seems very strange. I don't know if this is, like, a new game.
I tried to download it, but they won't give it to American heroes such as myself.
I don't know if it's popular. I don't know if it's succeeding, but it seems to be tied into this manga about these sword girls. So maybe these are just all the girls that are in the manga. I have no fucking idea. I don't even know what genre the manga is, because the anime is a fucking maid girl thing.
Yep.
Whereas the game is a fucking...
like Meiji-era sword fighting battle girl attack story, apparently, as far as I can tell.
So yeah, all these franchise elements seem very disconnected from one another. But it seems like, because the character designer is the director, and these new characters are anime original, if he designed these characters, and this is basically him just pitching his characters into this story, first of all, hilarious.
Yeah.
Second of all, interesting marketing gimmick, I guess. Like, yeah, just create an anime to get hype for these characters, and then we'll put them in the game. And then that'll be how we sell those new characters in the game. Yeah, I guess so.
They're only 3-minute episodes, so...
That's what I would have to assume was the strategy. I mean, you said you saw, like, missions with these characters online.
They feature in the... I was looking at, like... There is an active online community of people who are playing this game and discussing, like, how to get the best ranks and how to level up their guys. And in, like, it was, like, a mission log of things that have happened recently. One was, like, new mission added featuring these 3 characters. So I don't know what that means.
Were they still in the same outfits?
Yeah, they look just like they do in the show. Yeah.
So it leads me to think that the character designer of the show invented these characters, and then they were transplanted into the game.
Yes.
And like he's using the opportunity to, because the new characters look very different from the characters in the game.
Yeah.
Like, they don't look
totally
like they come from the same character designer. The characters in the game, first of all, look a lot more dated, and they're kind of over designed. I mean, they are
That's
like
the
RPG
typical gacha.
Characters.
Fucking huge outfit anime girls
and
shit.
Like the new girls are in like okay, the old girls,
they're like
just
Yuri characters or something.
Yeah, the old girls are just kind of wearing maid outfits over their regular outfits essentially.
Yeah.
Or like over just like a outfit. These new girls have like a very particular kind of maid uniform that they've been designed with, that feels like they were created for animation, you know, and for being able to be simplified into these chibi forms really effectively. Because the show constantly bounces between art styles.
Yeah, we should talk more about that.
Yeah, so it's always either that they are in the chibi form, and like sometimes they're in that for like a lot of the episode, and then they have like a drawn form. Sometimes these will just be shown on screen at the same time. Maybe they will transition between them or something. but they frequently change between them.
Constantly.
And then there's also like 3D models of certain characters.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes a conversation scene will just be a 3D model vaguely gesturing. And like, so it just seems like they kind of built a bunch of different versions of the characters and just decided for each line of dialogue which version of the characters will we use that we have built to all be very easy to use. Because the 3D model, all you do is repeat it doing the same animation. You know?
Yeah.
The chibi characters are easy to do if they're moving, if they're going to animate, do them in chibi because it'll be very easy to animate. If they're just going to be on screen for a second, draw them full page because they'll look better, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so like the thought process is so fascinating to witness, like why did they pick this art style for this moment? But it switches so often, and the show, like, fourth wall, like it doesn't exist from the beginning. Like it starts off with two of the characters introducing the story of the other characters and literally explaining that they're just turning into maids in this universe. Like, it's immediately full meta. And there's all these weird moments of characters commenting on other characters' situation, and the art style constantly shifting. Again, it is a lot to take in for a 3-minute show.
In the third episode, there's seemingly, I don't know, if this seems like it's designed to evoke the whole, like, rolling to get another version of the character as they're, like, fighting over, like, one of the characters. They're competing to, like, win the one as you would of, like, a highly ranked, like, specialty gacha girl you're trying to get for one of these games or something. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what they were trying to convey with that. And I mean, it's okay. I'm kind of interested to see where this is going. I mean, the narrative is not important. That's not what I'm saying. But this is it's uninhibited. They're just doing whatever the fuck they want. They don't give a shit what they're making these episodes about. They're just making them.
But they really...
It's kind of cool.
But they're cramming as much in as they can. They're cutting down the opening just to fit more weird shit in there.
I respect that. I really do.
Like, and weirdly, there's also a lot of, like, anime original characters that are, like, extensions of the characters in the anime. Because, like, I think it's one of those characters where they show her mom, and she's got, like, weird blue-tipped hair.
I think those guys are both in the anime, or in the fucking manga in the game, but
the
I don't
mom
know.
with the blue-tipped hair?
I think so? I don't know.
Mean, if
I don't
so,
fucking
they made
know.
her into a 3D model.
Yeah, they did. I don't know why they did that.
That was a weird-looking 3D model, and there's just a character who's just like, oh yeah, this is one of the character's moms. Here she is as a 3D model. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, she looks terrible. Why does she have those blue tips in her hair? It looks really bad.
Just like the main characters have those weird, like...
It looks good on the main characters, though.
Yeah,
but those are the
subtle.
anime main characters. I don't know if that was in the... Was she the mother of one of the anime characters or one of the game characters? I can't even remember.
She was the mother of the like white one who they thought was really cute who they were fighting over. That was definitely in the game, that character. I saw her like on the character charts.
This is the level of depth we have to go into to just rationalize what we're watching. Like,
yes, because I mean, we could just say I didn't get it and then just fuck off and die, or we could be real fucking scholars and figure out what the fuck's going on and do our job.
I mean, like,
so there you go.
Any reasonable show would not make the assumption that everyone watching it has definitely played the game.
You know, that would not even help to understand what's going on here.
I think at the very least, okay, when we had to rewatch the first episode once we had done research.
Yep.
So that we could understand the opening text crawl where they explain that the main characters in the game have turned into maids, and now they have introduced a new cast of maids. That basic premise was lost on us the first time.
Yeah.
But, like, as long as we knew who the main characters from the game were, it made some degree of sense. And so we could go, okay, I get it. This is the maid show.
Kind of. Those characters don't even do anything. I mean, they are dressed as maids in the first episode.
They literally
they are
nothing.
there
it's so
as
bizarre.
maids.
The new characters are the only ones who really matter.
They're the ones I like. I mean, they're funny.
And it really makes it feel like this is like the director's show.
Yeah,
like he made up these characters and is... I mean, I don't know this. I don't know if this is the case. But, like, it feels like he made up his own characters and made a show about them and surrounded it with the facade of this other unrelated media that he happens to... I don't know, maybe they gave them a deal. I don't know if maybe he knows the people making the game.
None of the characters,
I have no idea.
Like every facet of the characters as they would have existed in their original show bears like no relevance to the plot of this new show, except for the fact that like like pink main character girl, like our new one, she like respects and looks up to the one who's effectively the main character of the game. Like that's preserved. Nothing else is preserved.
It's possible that they have the same personalities. Like the white-haired girl you said was in the game. She has some personality in the anime.
I guess she was just
like,
kind of the straight man, wondering like, why are you fighting over me? This is wacky and silly. I'm not your property.
Man,
I don't know.
I really am struggling to reclaim the first 2 episodes, the second and third. Like, if we hadn't rewatched the first episode, I don't think I would have remembered anything that happened in this show.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, even though like we're just ruthlessly ragging on this thing for making no fucking sense,
it deserves it. It's fucking nonsensical.
I kind of enjoyed it to some degree.
Yeah.
Because I really felt like most of what it was just a bunch of pretty decent character art. And some, like, bizarrely wacky, funny scenario. Like, the idea that they were all just sneezing and breaking stuff is, like, really retarded, but in a bizarrely endearing way that I've never seen a show try to tell this story before.
I feel like I am missing something, but it was interesting, and I did feel something for the first time in years.
Episode 2, even though I don't remember what happened, I remember that the story structure made more sense, and I had some level of investment in what was going on while I watched it, even though, like, I was so distracted by the constant art style switching that was like all I could think about, you know? Like, because I don't know anything about any of these characters. I don't care about any of them at all. Like, all I have seen of these maid girls is one scene of them sneezing and that breaks stuff. I can't distinguish them in any way. They are not characters. Nothing in the show is a character yet. It is just a bunch of decent looking designs. The new designs are clearly better suited to animation than the game designs. But there's a bunch of 3D models, there's chibi versions, there's a lot to chew on. A lot of it is well done. Sometimes you stop on a chibi, you think, oh, that looks cute.
Yeah.
And sometimes you think, this scenario is kind of fun, I guess. But then you just have to ask yourself, who the fuck are these characters? And, like, the only way you would be able to identify them is if, when the title card that says what their name is comes up, the only reason you would be able to remember that name is if you knew the fucking sword. So
which we don't.
The only people this is for, and this is why it's a level 5 autism show, the only people who this is for are for people who already memorized all these swords because they're assumably famous swords.
Maybe like if you are Japanese, you like grew up knowing these. So I don't know.
It doesn't matter that these characters are completely vapid, that they have no connection to those swords in any meaningful way. That they are they don't even have swords really incorporated into their designs. They're just cute girls.
I refuse to believe there's any connection between like these designs or their personalities or these fucking swords.
This is not like Kantai Collection where they actually have boat parts on them.
Yeah.
They don't have any sword iconography, at least in the anime. They're not carrying swords.
No, they're not.
They're just cute girls named after swords. No fucking connection at all. So the only reason you would enjoy this is if you literally go, I know that sword. I would fuck that girl.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, there's no other connection to form to this show because even when it's at its most, like, well-designed and, like, making sense and, like, oh, the constant changes are kind of interesting and, like, they're all somewhat well done, I guess. What a neat idea for a show. What the fuck is happening? I don't know who any of these characters are.
That's the trick.
And that's why I agree with the 5.05 score on Mal, even though I think there's other stuff that deserves to be scored lower than this, that is probably scored above it. Like, this 5.05 is definitely not the score of the worst show I've watched this season.
Tell you right now, my conclusion at the end of this discussion, Stand My Heroes, the last one that was at the bottom, is a worse show than this. I think it's absolutely a worse show than this.
Okay.
This show is at least entertaining to look at and has like a pulse to it and it has more, I'm not going to say it has more intellectual content. It's just this is more enjoyable to watch. I feel something in my soul that's a human being worked on this and gave a little bit of a shit about it that is completely devoid from Stand My Heroes piece of shit, as it's colloquially known.
I mean, that show had, like, it just had a lot of weird and interesting ideas for premises that made it goofy and enjoyable in like a so bad it's good
if you look at it
way.
Through my eyes, you can find things that are really funny because the structures they built it on are completely flimsy, make no sense. And that's, and that's funny to look at. But like, imagine watching like 12 episodes of that show.
No.
Not on your life. Not. I could sit through 12 episodes of this.
I mean,
3 minutes each, no problem.
I mean, I'll say this. This was definitely a case where I remember during episode 2 actually thinking, wow, I think I would have like been remiss to have dropped this after episode 1. And I rarely think that. But I mean, I'm still giving this a 5.05. So like, if I had dropped it after episode 1, I would have missed nothing. Like, it really wouldn't have mattered. But based on episode 1, I would have thought this was a much worse show than I thought it was by the end of episode 2. Like, episode 1 was so confusing, so convoluted, and even when it started to, like, okay, the part of the episode that makes sense is the story about the girl sneezing, and then a woman just showing up with a vial of pollen and then demonstrating that it makes you sneeze, and then them breaking the whole building. That's the part that makes sense in that episode.
I feel like I'm missing a pun.
It's
I don't know.
so bizarre. So like, even though the constant art style switching and the weirdness of it did make me think that there was something weirdly intriguing about watching it, and I would be excited to watch multiple episodes just to gawk at it. Seeing episode 2 actually be like tolerable and watchable as a show was like, oh, okay, this does not belong on the worst of the anime season. This belongs, This belongs just above the worst of the anime season.
Yeah. There's got to be stuff up there, up above.
I mean, I'm trying to think of something that I watched, but there's definitely some things that I've dropped this season faster. The new version of the Cooking Boy. Do you know that one?
The Cooking Wars?
No, not Food Wars.
No.
There's this one like Shonen Jump, I think, manga from the 90s that had a long anime adaptation in the 90s, and it's just like a shonen cooking thing.
Okay.
This kid like cooks, I don't know, increasingly amazing recipes. I have no fucking idea. He looks like a Shaolin monk or something. Like, he's got like weirdly like Chinese attire.
Okay.
It had a big show in the night. You might recognize it if you saw a picture. I might not be describing it well. But like they've rebooted that, but it's got those like super sharp white lines, like that sharp white effect on all the characters, and it looks like shit. Like, it just looks terrible, and you look at it and you immediately think, oh, I'd rather just watch the 90s version.
Yeah, all right.
Why would I watch this? This looks like shit, and it's just a retread of something that was already adapted. Why are we doing this? You know, maybe there's something more unique about it that I don't know, not having seen the original, but like, even looking at art of the original, it's like, why would I watch the new one?
So that has less worth. That's a shittier thing. Okay.
Based on what little I watched of it.
That's at least one. That's at least one that you're saying is worse than this. So, all right, there you go.
But test us. Tell us what you think is the worst anime of the season, and maybe
I would be curious. I would be curious to know. Let me know immediately.
Because you can only really, if the scores stay the same, you can only really do this once per season.
Yeah.
And maybe that's enough. But I personally think this show is fucking hilarious and great. And I would love it if there were more episodes of it before we had to wait till January. So if you think maybe if the audience can determine what is the true worst show of the season,
that's an interesting angle.
Then they could propose it to you to cover before the season is over. And then you'd have more to work with.
Not everybody votes on Mal. There's lots of people out there who vote with their dollars at patreon.com/bestguyever.
How about you run a poll on your Patreon with the list of all the shows, and people can vote. No, they'll just vote for whichever one they want you to talk about.
That's true. Whatever. Post in the comments or something what you think the worst show is.
Say in the comments what is the worst show of the Mal season, and we'll tally up whatever has like the most upvotes / entries, and look at it as the thing to do.
Sounds good.
Anyway,
so we'll get back to you, folks.
I've been Digibro. Catch me on the Digibro channel. Make sure to watch the video that we've got coming out. Or we already have
It'll be out, yeah.
Because I might just edit it tonight. The Has Been Hotel collab that we did on my channel.
Yes, go see what we think about that.
If you are curious about Western animation at all.
They do that shit in the West? What?
Because my audience might not actually give a fuck about Western animation, but maybe yours will.
I don't know.
Come
I don't give a fuck
to the anime channel and listen
about anything. All right, sounds good. That's it, everybody. Tales from the bottom of the Mal seasonal anime charts. Let us know what you think about stuff. See you around. All right, there you go, lads. Another hot one off the presses. Another sweet piece of content that me and Digi have created for you. And if you like that, you should go watch the several other pieces that we've released on our new channel, KHANTEHNT. It's going to be frequent videos like this at least twice a week going forward. And if you're watching this on the BGE channel right now, you could have seen it a day earlier over on that channel, and there will be a new video out today on that channel of another anime that we're talking about, which, by the way, is going to be about Babylon, which I haven't seen yet, but Digi says is good. Whoop-de-doo! So for the love of Christ, go and watch it. Content coming every fucking week, fast as fuck, boys, and we're not stopping ever. See you over there. Content!